It's been a couple years now since I had a call from a customer. They wanted to have a rose transplanted out of their landscape. It was just getting too big, but the main problem was the rhizomes, or that spreading underground root. And yeah, roses, depending on the variety, they can come up in a lot of locations that you just don't want them. But I was on the fortunate end that I had made this bed that you see here. I just expanded it, and I didn't have a problem with that rose spreading out, kind of taking up a lot of this territory. Look at this now. Yeah, I believe this is the Rugosa rose. That's pretty much what I can match it up with online. The customer didn't know for sure, but this is a hardy rose down to zone 2 in the temperatures. One of the reasons I don't grow a lot of the other roses, I don't want to deal with the fungal problems or the disease, the insects. Now don't get me wrong, I love the double petal roses in groups like the Floribunda or the hybrid teas. The scent you get with many of the specialty roses is incredible. But not only can disease and insects be more of a problem on these type of roses, cold hardiness also becomes an issue. And since I'm in zone 4, there aren't many varieties that'll survive our winters. Zone 5 and up then is a better bet if you're going to grow the double petal rose varieties. I just want to have a hardy, tough shrub rose that I don't have to worry about those problems. And so far, this has just been the perfect rose for my temperament, not having to deal with those type of problems. Before we talk a little bit more about our Rugosa rose, this is how the bed looked before I extended it and made room for plants like this. I'll put a link in the description box of an earlier video I did if you want to take a look at the process. I wish I would have taken a photo of the rose before I dug it out of the ground, but I failed to do so. It was necessary to cut the majority of the stems back to be able to get the shovel closer to the main trunks, mainly due to the thorns on the stems. But when you're reducing the root system to a smaller size, it's a good idea to compensate on the above ground portions as well. The transplanting, it's a pretty straightforward process here, really just a matter of moving the rock back and taking out the appropriate amount of soil. We had ample rain during this time period, so the soil has good moisture, which makes it a good time to transplant, but it also adds to the weight of a root ball like this. Even smaller ones like this, I suppose this is about 18 inches wide by 12 inches deep, can get quite heavy. I'm guessing this was maybe 40 or 50 pounds. Now normally when you're transplanting shrubs like this, I recommend doing it when they're dormant, like late fall or late winter. But since the customer just wanted it gone and I'm all for experimenting, I had a feeling this would actually transplant okay, even though it was mid-July. And the reason being, even after cutting back all the longer canes, I noticed it would still have a lot of lower leaves left to keep the plant going once I got it back in the ground. The Rugosa rose is a single petal rose and falls into a category often referred to as the shrub roses. The shrub roses comprise a wide group of roses with many different flower colors, but the flowers tend to flower in masses on the shrub rather than singly on the stem. I think they're also called shrub roses because you can treat them more like your average shrub, a spirea for example. Doing just a little pruning in the spring before they start to grow is usually sufficient, and then you can just let them do their thing for the rest of the season. But you can certainly do some deadheading throughout the season as well, cutting off those old blooms, and a few of the leaves will encourage new growth and new flower buds to develop. And then you'll likely have repeat blooms throughout the season. I always add fertilizer on projects like this too, and I usually use the Osmocote slow release granules. That first season, I bet about half the leaves dried up and fell off, but enough remained for the plant to stay alive and to continue to root in. I also remember it didn't look like much that second season either, so a little patience is necessary when transplanting, especially when doing it in the middle of the growing season like I did here. Here's some hardy shrub roses I came across at the International Peace Gardens. And even though roses can do quite well in dry locations, obviously they're not going to complain if you give them plenty of water. Before we wrap this up, I'll quick mention this tree that's planted next to us here. I love the name Magnificent Mackie. Like the rose, it's definitely put on some size over these last 2 years, and this is one of my favorite trees to watch in the spring. As those leaf buds begin to open, just a really unique color combination shows up. So the roses, they're not as finicky or as fussy as you might think. There's actually some pretty tough roses out there. That's all I've got for now. Thanks for stopping by Garden Hike. We'll see you again next video.